Howdy, folks. My name is Leonard Podolak, and I'm joined by my friend Graham Lindsay, and we are so excited to have Sharon and Randy Hampson on with us today to highlight their upcoming show on October 30th at 5:30 on Home Roots Online. Sharon Hampson, of course, is from the legendary Sharon Lois and Bram, who many of us across this country grew up with listening to. And you know, as we continue on our inaugural season of Home Roots Online on using Zoom as the platform, we are delighted to have them with us. How's it going, folks?
Going good. Here we are, maskless, but we do wear our masks in the appropriate times.
So 5:30 in Winnipeg, 6:30 in Toronto. You have to check your time zone. Hopefully we will have people from all over watching on Friday night.
And isn't that the amazing thing about this is that really the venue is international. It's wherever you are, you know.
And through the magic, sorry to cut you off, Leonard.
No,
through the magic of editing, right below here is where you're going to see all the times. So just look here, and it's perfect.
Perfect, Graham. Perfect.
We actually had guests on from Australia and Japan, California. So we had many different time zones
on our last concert.
Yeah.
Right? It was, tell the cute story, Randy.
So my boyfriend and I wrote a lullaby, and towards the end of the show, we arranged to sing that lullaby. And as I was introducing, I said, maybe you want to cuddle up with your little ones. And people were chatting in the Zoom comments, and a mother wrote, "We're in Japan. It's breakfast time here. We are not doing lullabies now."
That's very funny.
We found them
Yeah.
and featured them, and it was mom feeding breakfast to her two kids in their high chairs.
It's multi-generational. What we've discovered, it's multi-generational what we've been doing. I mean, that's been a Sharon Lois and Bram principle from day one, a children's record for the whole family. And so when we select music, we think about things that will appeal to the children and appeal to the grown-ups without leaving the children out. So we discovered in the concert, though, the last one that we did, and hopefully it will be the case this time, that grandparents who have been separated from their children and grandchildren because of COVID got to see them on the screen. And in this case, hopefully the kids will be, and some adults will be in costume, and they'll get to see the kids done up for Halloween, however they may observe Halloween the next day.
Well, I have to say that Halloween is my very favorite holiday. And you know, this isn't a surprise to me at all, honestly. Sharon, you've been with Sharon Lois and Bram, trailblazing children's entertainment, making it fun, making learning and music a good time for kids and their parents for a really long time. And so with all this and COVID and this whole change that everybody's going through, and our organization doing these shows and you signing up to do a show, it was no surprise to me at all that you had a full concept already planned. This wasn't, you know, a lot of the artists we were talking to, they're sort of at the beginning of this journey, kind of like us. But you know, it's really exciting to get the vibe of what you're going to be doing. Would you share a little bit, you know, what folks can expect?
Sure. Well, we were hoping, you know, in a lot of major cities right now, they're discouraging families from trick-or-treating. And we know how much kids love putting on their costumes and doing Halloween parades at school and showing off their outfits. And we were trying to think of a way that we could nurture that. So with the beauty of Zoom, people can dress up, be in their living rooms. We are trying to do songs that will integrate the Halloween theme. So we're singing Halloween songs, but we're also singing songs about dressing up, and we're hoping that we can feature kids and grown-ups in their costumes, because I know in addition to us and our band, and Graham, that we were going to have other friends dressing up in costume. And even if you don't wear a costume, I know that a lot of the seniors who watched the last concert really enjoyed seeing all the young people participating. So there's a vicarious component to it as well, as you get to enjoy that. So Halloween songs, Halloween costumes, candy is another theme of the concert.
Song.
So,
Of course.
and we are just trying to find, like, you can't go out to eat, you can't go to the movies. What can we do? We can get together as a family and we can make music and you can sing along with us. So we're really hoping that we have lots of families connecting with us on Friday. It's already looking like that.
Don't think for a minute that this was all well thought out months ago. No, we came into when this all started, Randy and I Graham had retired at the end of our tour, and Randy and I were going to do some touring and see, hopefully, that there would be an appetite for it. Randy knows more about Sharon, Lois, and Bram and our history and the songs, things that Bram and I have long forgotten. Randy responds to. It's really, she knows the answers to those questions. So that was the plan. And then when that couldn't happen, we started to do a little bit of Facebook Live. And so I know nothing technologically. I phoned Randy and said, how do I get my TV to work? This morning, she talked me through the process. So I just turn up and Randy is the technology person here with help and learning along the way, of course.
It's,
sorry. I was going to say, I think we're all learning. When Leonard said we're new to it, everything started in March where we didn't know anything. I've said to a lot of musicians and friends who want to get into the streaming side of things, this is the Wild West, because truly there were no rules. There are starting to become rules, but what we're doing is really breaking new ground, and it's really cool. And I've seen you guys on a lot of Facebook videos, and you can interact through the comments, but it's not really a two-way street. But I think what's clearly you've moved a little more towards Zoom. Isn't that a great thing?
That was exactly why we did it, is that we really wanted the audience feedback. We wanted to see them singing along. I know there's a bit of a lag, but there is no lag for them. So when they're singing along with us and doing the actions, we feel that
the
energy, and we feed off of it.
Of course.
I mean, even an audience of a couple of people, my mom actually did, she was a keynote speaker for an event.
Wow.
And she couldn't see anyone. So I was there to laugh at her jokes and to accompany her a little bit on some songs. But having Zoom, really, it's so wonderful to actually be able to connect with everybody.
And when I do that with my friends, the problem is, because we're Jewish, some of us, many of us, the problem is that we all talk at the same time. That's a Jewish thing.
I relate. It's great to hear you describe it like that, because when a couple weeks ago when James Keelahan was doing a concert, Sherry Ulrich was in BC playing her fiddle along to the whole concert, and nobody could hear it.
No, of course.
But it was the exact same experience. Everybody saw that she was playing. The members of the audience loved it. The artist James loved it, and it definitely filled our hearts with like, yeah, we're onto something here. This is connecting.
We have a dear friend. His name is Roy George, and he is a wonderful pianist, accompanist,
arranger, just fantastic.
He was a wish child of Sharon, Lois, and Bram
when he was like 8 or 10 years old.
And he was offered to go see them anywhere. They would fly into California or to Disney or whatever. And he said, no, I want to see them in my hometown, in my home theater.
I didn't know that.
And he came back. Well, the first time he saw them, actually, he couldn't read yet, so he didn't know where he was going, and they plugged his ears until Sharon, Lois, and Bram walked out on stage, and he just flipped out. But he is a grown-up now. He does musical theater accompaniment, among many other things.
So good.
And he sends us videos of him playing along with our concerts. I wish he could play with us. He's so wonderful.
Such a good piano player.
But it sounds great from his living room.
At some point, it will happen.
Yeah, I think you're right, Leonard.
Whoever invents that is going to make a lot of money, because we are desperate to do it.
Yeah, no, it's true. From my own point of view, I have a handful of musical projects going on with friends that aren't from Winnipeg, and I mean, actually, some of them are, but regardless, it doesn't even matter. And you know, we're all
virtual rehearsals, like, you know, from time to time, trying to run a tune with somebody in a different place. You can't even do that.
That's right. You can't do that. Randy, I you know, we haven't really met before, and I have to admit, I don't know so much about you, except for the fact that I feel like we might have a few things in common. Your mom and my parents go way back from the days of the Winnipeg Folk Festival, and the festival would be the local promoters for Sharon, Lois, and Bram. I, in fact, for a long time, held on to a really nice plastic telephone that you guys gave me backstage.
Back a telephone.
You know, but certainly I'm not unique to the experience of kids in this country growing up with the music. And I'm just, you know, wondering, I'd like to hear a little bit about your perspective growing up with, you know, Sharon, Lois, and Bram, and what it was like to have a ma who was a hero to so many kids.
Well, I'll tell you that your father was a legendary name to me, even growing up. I mean, I remember that Sharon, Lois, and Bram, the end of the Winnipeg Folk Festival, when everyone would get together and sing, was a highlight for them. And they loved, in spite of the weather, they loved going to Winnipeg. They loved it.
We had some, I mean, Randy will tell you more about that, but we had some really remarkable experiences in Winnipeg many times. One time, Lois and I were, no, Lois had gone to, Bram had gone to do an interview, a radio interview, and I was strolling the shopping, you know, window shopping, and Lois had gone to get her hair done. And the interviewer said to Bram, you know, where are Sharon and Lois? And Bram said, they're in for repairs. I was ready to kill him. And we also had, I'm sorry, I interrupted you and you'll finish, but we had a remarkable experience one time in Winnipeg when we were invited to a hospital, and it was the burn unit. And that's enough to take your heart out. I mean, to see these children, you know, suffering and recovering. And then the next day or the same day, I can't remember which, after the concert, we were coming out the stage door and there were a bunch of those kids. And the reason that we knew them was because they were wearing those face masks that they wore. So, I mean, that was a long time ago. It has stayed with me forever.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of the whole range of experiences, and dinners out with your dad and just all that crazy stuff.
So from my perspective, I grew up in a folk music household. My father was in a group called the Travelers. And so for me, there was always music in our house. You know, we would sing. I was just telling someone the other day that I remember my mom cooking supper in the kitchen. I would be practicing my classical piano, and when I would finish, I would start playing my sheet music pop tunes. And my dad would grab his stand-up bass and he'd stand behind me at the piano, and we would play together until dinner time. So, and then when Sharon, Lois, and Bram started working together, my dad wrote a lot of the vocal arrangements. He wrote songs for them. And sometimes the three of us would work on the harmony parts together to try them out before they would go on to the trio. So it was you know, it was
Normal.
It was our normal, and Lois and Bram were really extended family. I mean, my kids called her Auntie Lois. And Bram is my neighbor. He lives 3 doors from me, and he really is like an uncle to me. I think that there is just a deep connection when you spend that much time with people over a lifetime. There's nothing that replaces that. I used to, if I had time, I would go on the road with them for a few days. I'd hop on the tour bus and go to a few cities with them. You know, always backstage selling merch. Sometimes I was the elephant. I just, I did song searching for them.
Yeah.
You know,
Worked
anything
in
that
the
I could
office.
do to
Answering fan mail.
yeah, to just be part of it. I'm sure that you were the same, like a folky rat. You probably were backstage meeting everybody when you were a kid.
Exactly. And in fact, I have to say it sort of, it hit me after Sharon and Bram came and played it at the concert hall a couple years ago. I just thought, you know, it's so rare, you know, in life. You know, you travel around in these circles, and you go, you come to places, and you go to another place. I have a pretty decent career behind me, not comparable to you, Sharon, but still, there are a lot of places that I know that I feel like I did have a good experience there, but I really wish I could remember those people's names, or I wish I'd had my feet a little bit more on the ground. And so when you called us all these years later and invited me with my daughter backstage, I was like, that's a professional. That's somebody who really.
It's more than professional.
No, I know, but
It's
you,
a human connection.
but
I mean,
the,
I have said to
that's
people over the years, you travel, you tour, you go to a million cities, you meet at God's, you know, so many people, and you make a few friends.
yeah.
You know, you don't make hundreds and hundreds of friends.
That's
You
right.
get connected to a few people.
We did actually meet because I was selling merch out front, and I was the person at the table that
Set me up.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know it. My glasses were probably all steamed up.
And Graham told me about home roots and mentioned your name. I was like, well, folk music royalty. That seemed like it seemed very synergistic and
Meant to be.
Yeah. Us
Yeah.
too. No, we couldn't really be more excited. And one thing that I did not know is that Mariposa had a pivotal role in making that happen, in connecting you guys originally.
I was one of the originals of Mariposa in the schools. And then Bram became part of it as well. And then after Lois and I were introduced to each other by a friend who knew that we were both doing music for children and thought we should know each other. And we became friends and started working together, not singing together, but she ran a library program and I got involved there, and I brought her into the Mariposa in the Schools program. And then, and of course I sang at Mariposa when I was like, I don't know, 18 years old or something like that. I sang with Michel Choquette. We made a record together, he and I, called Songs for Children and Other People, and half in French and half in English. So I was at Mariposa in the early days, but after the 3 of us were involved with Mariposa in the schools, Estelle approached us to coordinate the children's area. She approached Lois, and Lois and I worked on it together, and it was the best children's area, and I think many others were fashioned after it over the next few years. So we were very connected to that, and then of course we also performed at Mariposa.
Well, as far as
they just gave them a Lifetime Achievement Award last summer.
The Mariposa Festival.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Well, growing up in this business with my dad, he always referred to Estelle Klein as the goddess of folk festivals and of workshop schedules and curating. She was who he looked up to, and
Right. Yeah.
and so it's not a surprise to hear that the children's element of that festival was also cutting edge.
Well, it's sort of
Trailblazing.
remarkable that she gave us the freedom to do it the way we thought to do it, and that way was bringing performers that nobody expected to see at a children's area, people who were all over the festival doing other things, and all of a sudden the children's area would have huge numbers, and it wasn't just adults, it was families. And so we did really groundbreaking things, and that was because Estelle gave us the opportunity to do that. Recently we were supposed to do a tribute. We and a few others who know Estelle from the long term were supposed to do a tribute for her, and we were going to do it here in town. It got harder and harder because of COVID, and we said, let's wait and do it properly, because what they wanted to recognize was the fact that she was the one who started the notion of workshops at festivals.
That's right.
Putting together groups of people who were never together previously, and the beauty that came out of that collaboration.
Well, and it defined, it set the template for the festivals in Canada anyway.
For sure.
Ever since.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, if your father was influenced, then it was the festivals in Canada.
Oh, I mean, he was definitely, that's what my dad would always say was that Estelle Klein, she had the sense, just a natural sense of who to put together and why to put them together. And that it isn't so much, oh, well, I have this responsibility to make this artist work this many times throughout. Oh, I better fill the boxes, and oh, if they're, I mean, my dad used to hire artists because he had an idea for a workshop, and they were the artist, and so
Wow.
they would
Cool.
yeah. So it's really exciting to hear a little bit about your relationship with the folk music scene, Sharon. What were you doing before Sharon Losenbram?
Well, I did something unusual for a teenager. I was in grade 13. It was in the days of grade 13. I shouldn't tell this story. Well, it's part of the story.
Sure.
I was in grade 13. I was a really good student, and I was a really good daughter. I was the good kid. I did what my parents said. I called home if I was coming home. All of that good stuff. Except I saved up the bad for one biggie. And I was in grade 13 and I quit high school. In grade 13, in the fall of grade 13, I turned to my friend in a math class, trigonometry, I think, and I said, should I quit school? And she said, you might as well. You haven't been doing your homework. So what happened is that prior to that, I had been singing and playing guitar around town in the folky community, not yet performing. And I was at the Bohemian Embassy, which was the ultimate coffee house. I just heard Margaret Atwood doing an interview, and she talked about the Bohemian Embassy and the significance of it because they did poetry. That's where she first read poetry. They had poetry reading, they had jazz evening, they had folk evening. I mean, it was a fantastic environment. So I was there on a Sunday night. Here's another Estelle Klein story, I forgot. I was there on a Sunday night, and they were having Hootenanny, which they now call open mic, I guess. And Estelle Klein got up and said, Sharon Troston, it was Troston at the time, Sharon Troston should come and sing. And that was a complete surprise, and I was scared out of my mind. Somebody handed me a guitar, and I went up and I sang. I didn't have the nerve to say anything, but I managed to sing a couple of songs. And then after that, Don Cullen, the owner of the Bohemian Embassy, invited me to come and perform one evening. And I said yes. And then I didn't turn up because I was too scared. So good soul that he is, he invited me again. And the second time he sent someone to pick me up to make sure that I really turned up. And that's how it started for me. And I was obviously turned on to the experience enough to leave high school before finishing, which of course for my parents was like, you know, a stab in the heart.
They got over it.
They have gotten over it. My father used to reorganize the record displays in the department store. My mother would stand guard and my father would put our records in the front.
She got to bring them backstage at
Well,
the Keith Center and
Yes.
fly them to New York to see her
Oh,
at
they
Lincoln
loved it.
Center and Carnegie Hall. So
My mother used to bake a sponge cake every time we played in Toronto, and the band would wait backstage for her cake to arrive.
well, I'm sure not only did they get over it, your folks, but there are generations of kids and parents who are grateful to you for the career path you chose and the contribution that you made to Canadian culture and to the experience of being a kid in Canada, and I guess in other places too.
Leonard, that's lovely. Thank you.
Yeah,
Grandma
no,
likes to remind people that it's actually, we're on to great grandparents now. We've got 4 generations of
Which makes us really old.
in you know, indoctrinees. I don't know if that's the word.
I hope not.
People
And-
who were indoctrinated into the music. 4
Yeah.
generations worth.
yeah,
And it's so important now where, I mean, it kills me that kids at school cannot sing. There's no singing going on. And that's just, I mean, singing at school, music at school was for me lifeblood, starting in elementary school. So it's very sad, which is why we hopefully we'll reach more and more children in this way.
absolutely.
So Sharon and Randy, I know that the early birds were able to request a song, and if anyone buys a ticket, they can actually get they get their name entered into a draw. Can you tell us about that?
Well, we are not able to visit with everyone in a meet and greet after the concert, although we will make sure to have a microphone so that we can say hi to everyone in the audience after the show. But if people are interested, they can be entered to win a Zoom visit with us that we would schedule after the concert.
That's great.
Which is really fun, everybody.
Here we are.
They can chat,
Yes.
whatever they want.
100% of the Home Roots people on this particular Zoom call recommend Zoom calls with Randy and Sharon.
Absolutely. Do you
want
think
to
we could?
sing?
I was just gonna say, do you think we could talk you into singing one for us?
Sure. Do you want SKINNAMARINK or do you want a Halloween song?
Let's do a Halloween song.
All right.
Have you seen the ghost of John? Long white bones and the rest all gone. Ooh, ooh, wouldn't it be chilly with no skin on? Have you seen the ghost of John? Long white bones and the rest all gone.
Long white bones and the rest all gone.
Wouldn't it be chilly with no skin on? Wouldn't it be chilly with no skin on?
We'll have the auto tune for the concert.
No, don't change a thing.
We have Randy's kids and their girlfriends are part of our band, which is one of the beautiful things for the grandmother, I think for the mother too, but who I never expected such a thing. And Randy's son Ethan is a guitar player. His girlfriend is a bass player.
My beau Jim is playing acoustic guitar and band guitar. And then
Elijah, her younger son, who's taller than her older son, is he's coordinating sound and he's doing the round with us and several other songs. And his girlfriend is part of our singing band as
choir
well.
too. Yeah.
So it's very exciting.
It is very exciting, not only for the show, but to see how your music is carried on through your family and down the generations. And
Exactly.
I can't wait. I can't wait to bring my daughter to the show. My daughters now. But thank you so much for joining us today,
with you.
and for signing up to Home Roots Online. It's so exciting such a great part of it.
You're an amazing partner, and I could not be happier with everything that Home Roots has been doing to help us and to promote the show. So
fabulous.
Thank you very much.
I'm so glad. Yeah, the team, Kimberly Sinclair and Kathy Crawford, and the rest of the staff, Tim Osman, our artistic director, and general manager Ava Kubrinsky, we're all completely thrilled. So on behalf of my pal Graham Lindsay, and I'm Leonard Podolak, we're here with Sharon and Randy Hampson. We'll see you on the 30th.
And to get tickets, you can check out homeroots.ca. Also like us on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll see you on Friday.
Thanks,
You guys are
Graham.
great.
See you
Thank
Friday.
you. Such
Thanks.
fun.